Here with buddy of mine from preschool.
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 We were 4 years old.
4 years old range. Shashi Kapadia, who's also part of my Pioneer Intrepid class in this project that I'm doing. So I'll just jump into it. First question I want to ask you is, what's the biggest lesson you've learned in life, and what's the story behind that lesson?
Oh man. The biggest lesson that I've ever learned in life. I think that this is going to sound so cliche, but the biggest lesson that I've learned, especially in the last 5 or 6 years, is that you work for yourself. You work and you work hard and you work for yourself, and other people don't work for you. So I'm a physician. I guess to the world that doesn't know that. So I'm a physician, and I used to work. I used to work in a city where people had really been on hard times. There was a big population of people in a lot of poverty, right? And I used to take care of those people, and people who really don't get handed things in life, as a rule, which made me feel like, hey, there's a few things that I really got handed in life that I should be really thankful for. And of course, from before that, from my education, I know a lot of people who got handed a lot more things in life than I did, who were a lot more silver spoon than me. And so, but even understanding that there's a place where everybody starts out, where you start out with a different amount or a different upbringing or a different attitude, that in the end, as you move forward in your life, it's really easy to sort of externalize everything that happens. It's really easy to say oh, this thing didn't happen for me because the world is such a terrible place where it won't, give me this opportunity, or this thing didn't happen for me because this other person, that other person was a real fool and they really screwed me over and they did all this stuff. But ultimately, when you really look at it, at every point, you find a situation where, if it's a good thing, you worked hard and you got something that you wanted and you achieved it, or if it's a bad thing, that you had the opportunity either to work a little harder or work a little smarter and do it. And that's, to me, that's a lesson. That's a thing that I've found true for myself, but not just for myself. For people I know that have come in and gotten nothing, and have built themselves up to some place where they're content, or built themselves up to really successful. And people I know who've really kind of were born with a lot of things, and that lesson really resonates, right? Is that every opportunity, everything you do, you work and you're doing it for yourself, by yourself, and people don't hand you things. And I think, to me, in the last 5 or 6 years, that's really the biggest lesson that I learned.
All right. Second question is, what is your best memory in life so far, your happiest moment, and to what extent do you think that you will that into action, or to what extent do you think it was serendipitous?
Oh, that one's really hard. So I was thinking about this recently, and I was just before the camera started, I was explaining to you why I was thinking about this recently, because I had to do an interview project for a class that I was taking, and part of that interview project was asking the subject of the interview, when did you last feel happy? And I interviewed a couple of people on when did you last feel happy, and a bunch of them said, I had a really nice lunch, or I had sex yesterday, or I walked my dog and he's nice.
Something day to day, yeah.
And a bunch of people sat there, they racked their brains, one person cried, and they were thinking oh, it must have been 2005. Right when I was done with college and I felt the world was my oyster. And so I'm definitely one of those second people.
Yep.
Second people. I think that one of the things that has been kind of in my mind very recently is a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, pretty much to the day, which is not a long time ago, 2 years ago to the day, I went on a trip with two of my very good friends. And one of them was moving back to New York from California, was driving his car back from LA to New York. And so he said, like, hey, this would be a cool thing. Why don't you fly out to California? You meet me there, and we'll just drive back. And we'll do that, right? And we'll do our trip. And, this was a group of people, we'd known each other really since high school, and so they were really close to me. And I wouldn't say there was like one place or one memory or like one moment, but that one moment, but like that thing, that experience of like really being close to people who know you, who love you, was something that was really meaningful to me. It was made especially more meaningful because that friend passed away a year ago, and so now it's sort of one of my. I started now I'm cataloging it as like one of my last memories of this person.
Mm-hmm.
See, I even made that like kind of depressing.
Where there's a will, there's a way, Shashi.
Yeah. The second part of your question is a lot harder, right? Like, did you will that into action, or did it come to you? So I have to fit with the theme of your first question,
Yep.
which is that like everything you get is something that you've worked for, and everything you don't get is like something that you could work for, maybe.
Right.
And so I'm going to try to fit with the theme with that because I think it's there's a lot of luck in life, and you fall into the right people, you fall into the right things. But there's even maintaining good things in your life. Like, okay, fine, I got lucky that I met these people, these particular people, and not other people. But maintaining things in your life, maintaining relationships, that's not luck, man. That's something that you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that you do on purpose. You make a choice to keep a relationship going. You also make a choice to end a relationship.
Yeah.
And so I would say that. I would say that it's a combination, but more than not, I would say it's something that you work hard for, that you will to happen, even though you don't know what the outcomes are going to be.
Yeah. Absolutely. Last question is just kind of looking forward now a little forward in time. Just thinking about the future, things you want to do, things you don't want to do, kind of drives you have or don't have. If there was something you could do, build something, a project, something creative, achieve anything, just really anything, and you knew there was no possibility of failure, what would you do?
Oh, fuck. This is like a children's thing, right? Oh, this is like a family podcast.
Dude, no, you can do whatever you want to do, man, whatever you're comfortable with.
Alright, good.
I mean, it'll be in the public realm, so.
Oh no, I don't mean I'm gonna build some brothel. No, I felt like I said, oh fuck. So this is hard. So again, I think it's not. This is actually not that hard a question for me. Almost. You and me were talking. We were talking over dinner about some of the projects I'm working on right now. So again, I'm a physician. I mainly work in HIV medicine and other forms of infectious diseases. I'm still in training, and as I go forward, I'm doing research. Most of my research is on health policy and on trying to figure out the best ways to treat folks, mostly in the United States, who are on sort of the marginalized edges of society, who maybe don't get as much benefits as everyone else, and who are really on the other side of that income gap that we know that we have here. And I have no clue how successful that project is going to be. I have no idea how well I'll be able to do that, and I don't. The more and more I meet other people who are really working hard in the same field and seeing the amazing things they've done, honestly, the more I feel like I'm in over my head. So, I mean, if there was a thing that, if there was one thing that I would say, like, oh, I wish I could just do this thing, and it would just make everything better, I think that's kind of a narrow thing. It's a narrower thing than like world peace or like solving hunger, but within the same vein, I would really make it so that this real ability that we have as a species to alleviate suffering, to alleviate disease, to promote well-being, those abilities that we've discovered as a species were abilities that we would be willing to distribute really to everybody who needed them. That's not particularly revolutionary, by the way. Like, that's me saying I think healthcare should be a right. A bunch of people have been saying that for like 200 years.
Yep.
And there's some places where it kind of approaches that, but if you look at it the world over, and then if you look at it where I live in the United States, it doesn't approach it at all. And so if you told me that I could fix that problem and it would work, I guess that's probably what I'd do.